The lobby of Apex Capital was the kind of quiet that costs a lot of money. Thick carpets, marble floors, people speaking in hushed tones about millions of dollars. But all of that expensive silence shattered the second Julian opened his mouth. Julian was the CEO of a struggling retail chain. He wore a custom Italian suit and a watch that cost more than most people's cars. He was standing near the receptionist's desk, tapping his foot impatiently. Then, he looked over his shoulder and saw Marcus. Marcus didn't belong in a room like this, not visually. Anyway, he was wearing a faded linen shirt with a faint dirt stain near the cuff. His hiking boots had actual mud on the edges. Standing right next to him was his 7-year-old son, Leo. Leo was holding a crumpled $20 bill in his small hand. It was money he had earned that morning by pulling weeds in the family garden. Marcus was leaning down, quietly explaining to his son how compound interest works. He wanted Leo to deposit his first real earnings into a high-yield account. He wanted to teach his boy that wealth takes time, patience, and dirty hands. But Julian couldn't handle it. The sight of a man dressed like a gardener in his exclusive space offended him on a personal level. Julian scoffed. He didn't try to hide it. "Excuse me." Julian's voice cut through the room. "Is there a broken pipe somewhere?" Marcus didn't turn around right away, because usually, the maintenance crew uses the service elevator. Julian laughed at his own joke. A few other clients in the lobby awkwardly looked away. If you have ever been looked down on by someone who thought their clothes made them better than you, drop a comment right now. Type, "I choose to build real wealth, not be blinded by vanity." That statement is going to change your energy today. Now, let's watch how this arrogant CEO completely destroys his own life. Marcus slowly stood up to his full height. He didn't look angry. He didn't look embarrassed. He had the calm, unbothered energy of a man who had nothing to prove to anyone. He gently put his hand on Leo's shoulder and pulled the boy slightly behind him. "We are just here to make a small deposit," Marcus said it quietly. "My son earned his first $20 today." Julian rolled his eyes so hard it was almost theatrical. $20. He repeated the words like they tasted bad. "This is a private equity firm. Pal, we deal in millions, not lawn mowing money. There is a commercial bank down the street for people like you." The receptionist behind the massive mahogany desk suddenly stood up. Her name was Sarah, and she looked absolutely terrified. She opened her mouth to speak. "Mr. Julian, please, you really don't understand." But Marcus caught her eye. He gave her a very slight, almost invisible shake of his head. He was telling her to stay out of it. He wanted to see exactly how far Julian was willing to go. Julian didn't notice the silent exchange. He was too busy enjoying the sound of his own voice. He was a man drowning in debt, pretending to walk on water. "Look, I have a very important meeting in 5 minutes. Julian snapped his fingers at the receptionist. "I am about to sign a $5 million debt extension with the majority stakeholder of this fund. I need this lobby cleared of distractions. Call security and have them escorted out right now." Leo looked up at his dad. His bottom lip was trembling just a little bit. He clutched the crumpled bill against his chest. "Dad, did we do something wrong?" the boy whispered. Marcus looked down at his son. His eyes were incredibly warm and steady. "No, buddy, we didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes, people get so obsessed with looking rich that they forget how to act like a decent human being." Julian's face turned beet red. He took an aggressive step toward Marcus. "Listen to me, you arrogant nobody. I run a national company. I employ hundreds of people. I belong here. You are just a guy with dirt on his shoes, bringing spare change to a billionaire's club." Marcus just smiled. It wasn't a mean smile. It was a smile of pure, quiet pity. At that exact moment, Marcus's old beat-up phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out calmly. The screen lit up with an urgent notification from the Apex Capital internal server. It was a pending approval request for a $5 million lifeline loan. The company name on the request was Julian's retail chain. Marcus glanced at the screen, then looked back at Julian's furious face. You know, you are right about one thing, Marcus said softly. This firm does deal in millions, but you are incredibly wrong about who actually holds the power in this room. If you are loving this story so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join our community of fathers and leaders who know the real value of hard work. And don't forget to comment. I choose to build real wealth, not be blinded by vanity. Let's get back to the lobby. The heavy oak doors at the end of the hall suddenly swung open. David, the managing director of Apex Capital, stepped out. David was a man who moved markets with a single phone call. He was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, rushing frantically across the marble floor. He held a thick leather folder tightly against his chest. Julian immediately adjusted his expensive tie. His arrogant scowl instantly transformed into a desperate, glowing smile. He stepped forward, confidently extending his hand toward the managing director. David, it is so great to finally see you, Julian practically shouted. I am ready to sign that paperwork whenever you are. But David didn't even look at Julian. He walked right past the outstretched hand, as if Julian was completely invisible. David stopped dead in his tracks, right in front of Marcus. The powerful managing director bowed his head slightly. His voice was trembling. I am so sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Chairman. Julian froze. His hand was still hanging in the empty air. He looked at David. Then he looked at Marcus. Then he looked back at David, his brain desperately trying to make sense of the words he had just heard. David, what are you talking about? Julian's voice cracked. This guy is a gardener. He's making a $20 deposit. David finally turned to look at Julian, and the expression on his face was ice cold. Julian, put your hand down. This is Marcus Thorne. He owns 80% of Apex Capital. He is the one who personally reviews every debt extension over $3 million. The entire lobby went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop on the marble floor. The color completely drained from Julian's face. He suddenly looked very small, inside his expensive Italian suit. He stumbled backward, bumping into a leather chair. Mr. Thorne? Julian stammered, sweat instantly breaking out on his forehead. I had no idea. I thought you were. You thought I was beneath you, Marcus interrupted quietly. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You thought the amount of money in my pocket determined how much respect I deserved as a human being. Marcus pulled the old phone from his pocket and tapped the screen to open the pending loan document. Julian was shaking now. He knew his entire company, his lifestyle, his reputation, everything was hanging by a thread on that screen. Please, Marcus. Mr. Thorne, Julian begged, his previous arrogance entirely gone. My company needs that extension. If we don't get that $5 million by tomorrow, we are filing for bankruptcy. I have hundreds of employees. I'll apologize right now. Marcus looked at the man sweating in front of him. You aren't sorry for what you said. Julian, you are just sorry about who you said it to. Marcus hit a button on his phone. The screen flashed red. Request denied. I am not denying your loan because you insulted me, Marcus said, his voice firm and steady. I am denying it because a CEO who treats the working class like trash is a liability. A man who doesn't know how to respect people when he thinks he is at the top will never have the character to keep his wealth. You are a bad investment. Julian collapsed into the chair, burying his face in his hands. His luxury watch gleamed in the lobby light, but it couldn't buy his way out of this. If you agree with Marcus's decision, you know what to do. Drop that comment right now. I choose to build real wealth, not be blinded by vanity. Show everyone that character matters more than cash. Marcus didn't waste another second looking at the ruined CEO. He turned back to Sarah, the receptionist, who was staring at him in absolute awe. Marcus gave her that same warm, gentle smile. Sorry for the interruption, Sarah. Now, About my son's account. Sarah quickly snapped out of her shock. Right away. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Thorne. She quickly processed the crumpled $20 bill. She handed a shiny new deposit receipt across the desk to the little boy. Leo took it carefully, looking at the numbers printed on the paper. Marcus crouched down so he was eye level with his son. You see that, buddy? That is your first step. And remember what we talked about today. Greatness isn't about wearing a fancy suit or yelling at people to make yourself feel big. It is about doing the work, staying quiet, and letting your actions speak for you. Leo nodded seriously. I get it, Dad. I don't want to be like that yelling guy anyway. Marcus laughed. A deep, genuine sound that echoed in the quiet lobby. He stood up, took his son's hand, and walked out the heavy glass doors, leaving the elite financial world behind them, ready to go back home and tend to their garden. Because real wealth doesn't need to scream. It just grows. Thank you for watching, family. If this story hit home for you, do me a massive favor and hit that subscribe button. We are building a community of strong fathers, smart minds, and unbreakable character. And before you click away, leave our mantra in the comments one last time. I choose to build real wealth, not be blinded by vanity. Stay grounded, stay focused, and I will see you in the next story.